Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving right into one of the absolute most fascinating corporate mysteries I've seen in recent tech history. We're talking about a situation where a dead airline's digital trash is, well, it's quite literally becoming Google's treasure. Today, we're unpacking this hidden, multi-million-dollar market for the digital remains of bankrupt companies. $10 million, or for some perspective, roughly 95 crore rupees. Now, Google isn't paying this massive sum for airplanes or prime real estate or even shiny new software. No, they're handing over $10 million for, of all things, deleted spreadsheets, old calendar invites, and totally mundane office chats. It sounds a bit crazy, right? Which naturally leads us to this massive question. Why on earth does a search giant like Google, a company that already controls the absolute largest database of information in the world, want to buy a bankrupt airline's old emails? I mean, what is the master plan here? Well, to understand the artificial intelligence training game behind all this, we kind of need to set the stage first. So, let's look back to May of this year. You probably remember when the famous American budget carrier Spirit Airlines officially closed its operations. They were crushed under a staggering $8.1 billion in debt. And during bankruptcy, they liquidated absolutely everything. And when I say everything, I literally mean everything. We're not just talking about physical assets like planes or office chairs, but their entire digital enterprise brain. Just look at the sheer scale of a modern company's digital footprint. According to the court filings, Google is getting over 100 million employee emails and 500 million, yes, billion, Microsoft Teams chat messages. We're talking 30 million lines of computer code, 7.5 billion passenger transaction records dating all the way back to 2008, and 7.2 billion competitor pricing data points. It even includes, get this, 175,000 employee HR records going back to 1986, plus millions of payroll records, audit reports, the whole shebang. It's just this incredibly detailed raw archive of exactly how a real company operated behind closed doors. To really put this into perspective, JetBlue recently paid $58.5 million just to acquire 22 physical takeoff and landing slots from Spirit. So physical access, still incredibly expensive. But Google, they're paying a fraction of that, just $10 million for the company's entire digital history. Honestly, for a company like Google, $10 million is basically a rounding error. It's pocket change. But the fact that decades of seemingly useless, dead data has this kind of value, that is making the entire tech world turn its head. Now, I know exactly what you're probably thinking right now. If you've ever booked a flight with Spirit Airlines, you might be watching this explainer in a bit of a panic. You're wondering, but wait, what about my personal privacy? Are your passwords and credit card numbers suddenly becoming Google's property? Okay, you can take a deep breath and relax because there are strict exclusions in place here. 97.5 million passenger profiles, 50 million loyalty records, and over 740,000 co-branded credit card holder details have been completely 100% excluded from this sale. Plus, Google has been really clear about this. They aren't receiving personal information at all. Literally 100% of the data going to Google is being heavily scrubbed and de-identified by a third party before it ever reaches their servers. They're only using this for AI training, so it's going to be completely impossible to link any of this data back to you or me or any individual person. So, if all the personal stuff is stripped out, why does Google need this scrubbed data so badly? Well, it all comes down to this concept called the data wall. Back in April, a major report out of Stanford issued a pretty stark warning. They pointed out that the big AI models, the ones from companies like Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, they've already consumed almost all the free, high-quality text and public data available on the whole internet. Basically, these models are starving for new training material, and the public well has officially run dry. Think about the difference here. Public internet data is mostly just general knowledge, right? It makes an AI smart in a very broad, encyclopedic sense. But public internet data isn't going to teach an AI how a real corporate workflow actually happens. It doesn't show an AI how a company specifically prices its tickets, or how employees debate issues in a Teams chat, or how strict HR policies are applied in the real world. That kind of professional, closed-door, operational experience, it simply doesn't exist on the public internet. So feeding this raw corporate data into an AI gives it 5 massive upgrades. First up, domain and workflow alignment. The AI actually learns real office jargon, typical approval chains, and actual product logic. Second, accuracy. It learns from verified internal documents instead of random internet rumors, which means way fewer of those weird AI hallucinations and mistakes. Third is high-speed automation. It learns how to perfectly draft policy emails or write new code based on actual real-world examples. Fourth, regulatory compliance. It learns to follow the strictly approved templates used in highly regulated sectors, like aviation. And finally, number 5, the ultimate advantage, competitive differentiation. Look, everyone has access to public internet data, but an AI trained on exclusive private enterprise data, that just cannot be easily copied by rivals. Now, to actually apply all this knowledge safely, companies use techniques like fine-tuning or something called RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. Basically, this allows a company to keep this incredibly valuable data completely secure. They only grant the AI temporary, highly specific access when it's needed to fetch perfect, context-aware answers. It's a real game changer because it makes the AI incredibly capable without ever permanently absorbing or compromising the core datasets. And what's really fascinating here is that this isn't just some isolated Google experiment. Actually, an AI startup named Morecore placed a massive $8.5 million backup bid for this exact same data. They are sitting right there as the safety net in case the Google deal falls through. This just goes to show that we are looking at a highly contested, fiercely competitive new market. Hunting for the data of bankrupt companies is officially a massive industry trend. So, the AI world has pretty much finished eating the public internet, and now it's digging into the digital remains of dead companies. It really makes you wonder, as more companies unfortunately face bankruptcy in the future, will their internal, behind-the-scenes data suddenly become their absolute most valuable asset on the auction block? Is this dead data the tech world's new oil? I'll let you chew on that. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time as we continue to decode our rapidly changing tech landscape.